Okay,
All right.
Douglas today will share with us his successful story and other interesting stories which are amazing for me, and I like to hear always his advice.
Yeah.
But you great motivation for people never stop to do something new or even go back to school and study or change industry. It's never late. It depends everything on you. If you want to do it, do it. Douglas, thank you so much for this. We're back to school again, Friday, and we had great class. Please introduce yourself a little bit.
Sure. My name is Doug Sharfstein. Born and raised in the area around here near Evanston, Illinois, the north suburbs of Chicago. I've got 4 kids. I've been married for about 22 years, and I'm sort of the old guy back in school with, here at Kellogg, which has been fantastic.
Yeah, we're so happy to have you with all your experience in our class. Can you tell me from your beginning, you finish school, and what is your next step after school?
Sure. So I was very fortunate to have a great upbringing. 2 parents married for, my mom and dad were married for 55 years.
Wow.
And we grew up in the suburbs, very nice childhood. And my father and grandfather in 1968 had started a corrugated manufacturing business here in the north side of Chicago called Pride Container. They had both worked for a large public company called Stone Container, and they just didn't like the big public company environment and decided as partners to start a corrugated manufacturing company, which was their background. And I grew up with that business, the dinner table. As I got a little older, I worked there in the summers. And after graduating college, I was deciding what to do. My father was very much encouraging both my brother and I. I have 3 siblings. I'm one of 4. I'm the youngest of 4. Encouraging my brother and I to get involved in the business, if we wanted to. There was no real pressure. So after graduate college, I went to work at the corrugated manufacturing company in the design lab. We had to design, mostly structural design for corrugated packaging that we made for our local customers.
At that time was many local production in Illinois?
Yeah, at that time there was a ton of businesses here in Chicago which are either no longer, in business or offshore and a lot of stuff. There was a lot of confection companies like Leaf Candy and Brock Candy. You made, candy, that off the shelf. There was Schwinn Bicycle. So a lot of local companies
Wow.
that bought a lot of corrugated packaging.
What year is that?
That was, so I graduated college in 91. So it was the early 90s.
Clinton president, right?
No, that was before. That was before that. I'm trying to remember who was even president.
Bush?
Yeah, it might have been some of the Bush era. So,
it's interesting because I remember it was economically boom also in US, right? It was 80s, 90s. Everything was growing.
Well, yes, but in our business, so at the same time, my brother had we, like I said, been in and out of the business, always around it. My brother had started around the same time I graduated and was working at Pride Container, which is the name of our business, started a small public warehousing company to support the raw materials needed in the corrugated industry. There's a lot of competitors in the area too, and so business was pretty good, but so I started, after I worked at the box company for a little while, I moved over with my brother and we were running this small supply chain distribution business, supplying roll stock paper to the industry that we were in. With the thinking of sort of like our customers at the corrugated business were like pushing us to hold inventory. And so we went to our suppliers, that was the large, paper that we used to manufacture the corrugated, to warehouse it in our warehouse that we started. So that was going along nicely, I guess. And in the early 90s, things were good. And then by the mid 90s, my dad was getting a little older. He was planning his retirement. And my brother and he had talked to us about potentially joining and ultimately taking over the business, which we did in the later 90s. In 1997 is when we took it over. Shortly after that, our largest customer was a food distribution company called Ameriserve. They had done the purchasing for like the big food companies like Pizza Hut. So our biggest customer was Ameriserve. We made pizza boxes for them, which they sold to Pizza Hut. Shortly after we took over the business, they filed Chapter 11 bankruptcy, and they were our largest customer, and we didn't even know what that meant. And we checked with our CFO at the time and said, how much money do they owe us?
How big company was in that moment?
Ameriserve, a big company.
No, what about your company?
Our company is about $40 million in revenue.
Wow.
And, we had a good amount of debt, but it was a healthy business. Well, so that the accounts receivable that we had outstanding was like $1,200,000.
From that customer.
For a little company, not a huge company like ours. And so it really, hurt us. Shortly after, the market had been good, but all of these companies locally got into the online bidding. And our product was very much, pretty much a commodity, right? We did some printing, but it was more corrugated boxes, commodity pricing, low pricing. So this online bidding, we ended up losing some significant...
Kind of like Vistar or...
What's that?
Which company started like doing
Did the
more
bidding?
money?
Oh, well, it was the larger companies. One, after Ameriserve came back and Pizza Hut took the business back, they did an online bid, and we were a little bit higher in price, and we lost that business. Wow. So then after that, my brother and I were in a tough situation with this business that we took over from our dad, and now suddenly we lost a ton of revenue and our largest customer.
Wow.
Filed bankruptcy.
How difficult for family when family-owned business?
Yeah.
Is this tough or it's not that difficult? Maybe some recommendation for people who want to start a family business.
My dad always used to talk about the family business. There's family business or there's a family asset. And, the family business connotation was always like, if you're in the family, you're part of the business. He didn't believe in that. He believed in like doing, being a steward of the business and making sure that who's ever going to be running that business is capable of doing it. So it's challenging, though, and so my sisters never got involved. It's me, my brother, and we have two sisters. And so the fact that it was my dad, my brother, and I, it was good. We definitely wasn't always easy, but it was, we trusted each other. But only, I give advice, but you have to trust each other. It was very much, our dad was very progressive, very, wasn't threatened by us. Was very fair in the way he approached things. So, the biggest thing that I could say that helped us was good communication. Yeah.
People have to communicate. It's always the best to resolve problems because you can read mind what everyone thinks, right? Okay, and after that, you decided to go to brokerage. How you get to that
well,
direction?
So that business was going on. I told you that we had this distribution company. Out of that distribution company, we started to run some transportation because the roll paper that our company used and some of our competitors used, we handled the delivery of that. So I had gotten our trucking authority back in 1994.
Wow. So interesting how it was in that time.
At the same time, I got our broker's authority because we were running some trucks, just a few, and we also were brokering some loads. So it kind of blossomed out of that distribution warehousing company.
It's for me interesting that period of time because I know already the story, but I want you to tell everyone.
Yeah.
In 1994, 1995, it was a regulated business. There was not that much competition in the market.
Right. Well, deregulation, I forget even what year that
98
was.
98 maybe or 97?
Yeah, right. Maybe 98. And there was, it was interesting. So
how regulated it was? Why it was so difficult to come to the market? For a new company, like for example, why they couldn't come and start the business? There was so many rules, or you have to have like assets, or why?
Yeah, it wasn't really a fair, open, free trade market, I guess. Again, it's regulated, so you didn't, as an entrepreneur, you really had your hands tied a little bit. So.
And what is the biggest player was in that time?
Well, it was mostly the asset-based carriers, right? It was, the J.B. Hunts and the Schneiders and the big, and locally there was local cartage companies like All Truck and Dolphin Cartage. There were some local trucking companies that handled a lot of the local freight, but they only had so much capacity, so we would have to like scramble and call different carriers.
But it was the same way how it now, brokers, usually carrier call to the broker and ask like, can you give me a load? Or it was in different way, like brokers try to find the companies. carriers who will do your loads?
Well, we would call the carrier.
You tried to find the company who will do a load.
Yeah, we were calling the companies to actually move our goods.
Because now it's a totally different way.
Right.
Companies track and try to find the load. Interesting. It was totally different.
Yeah. So
what about margin? It was good margin for everyone was happy, or it's the
pretty good. In fact, we did a little double brokering as we started to grow our business. So a company, the grandfather in the industry was a company called American Backhaulers, and they were really the biggest player right after
still in the market?
deregulation. They sold to C.H. Robinson.
Okay, C.H. Robinson now is the biggest probably.
Yeah,
TQL, C.H. Robinson.
Yeah, C.H. Robinson, and so they were really the grandfather in the industry. In fact, my partner in what became Strive Logistics started at American Backhaulers, worked at C.H. Robinson. We were good friends growing up, and he came over to join my brother and I on the transportation side.
Nice.
In I guess that was the late '90s. It was like 2004 actually.
2004.
Yeah.
And why is interesting life in how small a world? Because I did loads for my company, did loads for Dula's company.
Strive Logistics.
I still have rate confirmation, Strive Logistics.
Yeah.
And you decided that you wanna do exit, or you get some offer.
Well, so that Strive Logistics was the transportation. That was a separate company from what was Pride Container. After the bankruptcy, after we lost the business on the manufacturing company, we were in sort of a tough situation, and we'd like to think it was because we were smart, but it wasn't. It was because we needed to survive. We had to change our business model in the manufacturing company. We sort of looked around and where we could replace, the business we lost in this corrugated manufacturing plant, and we looked and noticed that sort of there's the equipment that we had could produce not just corrugated boxes but displays, consumer products displays, and we started to explore that model and found an acquisition in the Quad Cities, that a company that they designed displays and they assembled displays, but they did not manufacture them. They bought all of their materials from companies like ours. So we acquired this business, and that allowed us to backfill a lot of the business that we lost.
Wow.
And it also taught us this new business, this new display business, which ultimately created the value, which ultimately allowed us to exit at a very successful exit. So we shifted from that model of hundreds of local customers within a 100-mile radius, very low margin, to a smaller handful, 15 major customers, the big consumer product companies like Kraft Foods, Procter & Gamble, Unilever. So our value proposition totally changed. We changed from a commodity business to a supply chain business. When we made boxes for the local businesses, they cared about what kind of machinery we had. They wanted to know everything about corrugated, and we were a manufacturer. When we changed our business model, we were just more of an extension of the consumer products company's supply chain, because we had to work with their brands, and then we had to come up with structural designs and graphics for the displays, and so that allowed us to totally change our business model. So again, Strive Logistics was a separate company. Now we work together, but
exit was include all of the companies or just only transportation?
So in 2012, we had been through a lot of business cycles. In 2008, those were some tough times, and we had been exploring a private equity partnership in 2008, and our business had been doing really well, and we had a lot of interest. Well, we were sort of a lead indicator as the economy took a dive. Because
it was indicator. Your company or your industry fell first, then whole economy, or it doesn't work like that?
So yeah, no, it did.
You got some downturn.
So our business was promotional displays, right? And so these big companies, they would do a lot of them, but they were able to cut that part of their budget when things were getting tighter. And we didn't have a long lead time. Our forecast visibility was, a lot of our customers did annual repeat display programs, but a lot of them were maybe 4 to 6 weeks. When the big companies, our customers, PepsiCo and Kraft, saw that the economy was starting to struggle, they started to cut their budgets. Some of it was our business. And so our 4 to 6 week forecast all of a sudden, disappeared. So we had to we had to exit sort of this process of exploring private equity partners. Then the economy recovered. We recovered quickly because we we felt it early and then we recovered quickly. And a lot of big contracts that we had been working on started to really do well. And so in 2012, we were approached by a strategic competitor, to acquire our business, which ultimately, it was a company called Menasha Packaging.
Menasha Packaging.
Yeah.
Okay, it was separate exit, like
That was 2012,
production.
yes. And then so we still were running...
2012, you still have brokerage,
Still-
but
brokerage,
no more
right.
production.
Yeah, and in this trucking brokerage, we continued to grow that business. We actually wrote our own transportation management system. We had a group of developers. We had, similar customers, some, and then, a whole bunch of different customers. In the trucking industry, it's the customer base at Strive group was a lot stickier than in the transportation business. But we did have some interesting companies at Strive Logistics. But actually, so anyways, we was 4 equal partners in that business. My brother, I had a cousin that joined us, and then my friend. In 2019, the market conditions were right. We were all interested in looking for a potential exit, and so in 2019.
Wait, 2019. It's
Yeah,
not
that's
that far ago.
that one is when we had Strive Logistics.
Before Corona.
It was right before COVID. Yeah,
COVID.
shortly before COVID.
And your company which acquired your company, it's Redwood.
Redwood Logistics.
Redwood
right.
Logistics.
Yeah.
They did few, I think.
They've done some
acquisitions,
acquisitions. When they acquired us, it was they were owned by a private equity group called CI Capital Partners, which is no longer. But then they sold again to another. There's a private equity firm called AEA that owns Redwood now. So, but we still have a lot of our people there, and it's.
And now you in that position where you did exit, and everyone, like, probably again, many people will watch, and many people want to retire very young. They want to just start the startup, get some investment, and finish, and start go to retire, right? Travel, beach, sun, drinks. How does this work in real life? Because not many people have that experience.
Yeah.
And I think for everyone, like, will be interesting to hear how it is when you do exit, how you feel, and what is going on.
It's a very emotional thing, right? It ties a lot of your identities tied to the business that, when you're running a business, and it's a family legacy. So there's a lot of emotional side of things. Getting some money is a nice thing, creating value, but, the interaction with the people, with the customers, it's something you definitely miss. So it took a while to sort of adjust to a different, paradigm, but I'm still fairly young, feeling older, but especially here in this group. But I'm certainly not interested in retiring. So
it's not the right decision to think to how to make money and just don't do anything.
Right. I mean,
because you're human, we was born to do something.
For sure. Like, you can only play so much golf, or travel is fun, but after a little while, it's nice to have a passion and work at something and build businesses. It was one thing that I loved about our businesses was providing opportunities like for your company. I mean, you hire people, you watch them take care of their families, make their living based on something you created and something that you're running.
It's probably the biggest motivation, even in difficult time. For me, usually, like, now it's all industry not doing well, but I always think about people who in a company and you pay the salary and they have families. It motivates you. Like, last year I write a message for all my team, like, the biggest thing that we cover all our liabilities, we pay on time salary, and the biggest win. Yeah, we didn't make probably that much money, but companies stay still on the market, many companies out of business, and we're still doing the business.
Yeah, no, it's tremendous to make it through even COVID. It's a huge accomplishment for a business. Running a company is not easy, as you know, and I've been fortunate enough to come and visit your operation.
Thank you so
and
much.
You're a terrific operator. You just tell by walking on the floor, seeing your people,
Thank you.
the pride that you take in your equipment and your facility. It's cool.
Thank you so much. Let's talk about your journey in Kellogg. Like I said, you add a lot of value for our group, and I ask even you for advices, and I think many people come to you and ask some questions. What you can tell us about this journey? Is this the right decision? Why Kellogg?
Well, why Kellogg? I mean, it's an amazing school. I couldn't believe I got in when I did. Growing up nearby Northwestern, I've always sort of had a, just a reverence for the place. But it's a great decision. It's a great school. I mean, people like yourself around, it's just so humbling, the amount of intelligence that the people here. So that was one of my motivations, was the network and the cohort, and it's far exceeded my expectations. The combination of the faculty, the professors that we have, and the cohort, it's like these classes. I mean, I tell people that these are not lectures, these are discussions, these are rich learning environment. And, the relationships that I've made, I hope to continue to leverage those into the sort of what's next, not just investments, partnerships, So it's been great. I mean, I some of me wishes I had done it sooner, because it's sort of like reverse. Some people, go to business school and then run their businesses and kind of.
Well, that's why executive MBA probably, when people come with different experience.
Yeah.
But you great motivation for people never stop to do something new, or even go back to school and study, or change industry. It's never late. It depends everything on you. If you want to do it, do it. Someone finished school in college in 40, or someone finished in 20. It all depends on your story, right?
Yeah.
It has to be independent. It has to be very unique story. You can repeat for some, because everyone's starting this time or finishing this time. It all depends. What is your favorite moment?
Here
for this, because we have only 6 months or 7 months left.
Crazy.
What is your favorite moment?
I don't know. I mean, it's hard to pick, right? I mean, the elective in Hong Kong to me was phenomenal. Cool. I mean, the whole experience. I mean, everything just like in life has its own highs, mostly in this program, with some lows. It's stressful, some of the work, but I'm telling you, today was phenomenal. Just being back with our whole cohort. It's you really can see how close we are when you've been away for a while. And Miami, when I think back about starting this journey, with launch week, that was a pretty cool moment for me, just because it was like, wow, this is real. We're really gonna do this. So.
Douglas, I appreciate it a lot. This conversation for me was, I will always want to take interview with you, because your story is really interesting and very motivated for other people. Inspire. I'm 100% sure it will inspire a lot of people to start the school, start the business, or just work and enjoy what you do. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Douglas.